This is a morning of technical difficulties, and so you have my apologies for that. But today's topic is change, and I'm just going to start by settling ourselves in and taking a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and just imagine all this wonderful energy coursing through your body, enlivening your cells and bringing vitality to every crevice, every corner of your being. And exhale any tension or stress in your neck and your jaw and your back and your shoulders. And thanks, Dido's back. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. Um, so now let's take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and imagine sparkling light just coursing through your body and beyond, through your cells, through your organs, through your blood and your bones, and exhale any remaining tension. Let's just take a moment to gently press our palms together and softly rub your fingers against your palms. Allow yourself to feel the tingling in your fingers, in your palms, and let's bring ourselves present right here, right now. So this is take two, but today's topic is change. And we're experiencing lots and lots and lots of change to ourselves, to our world, to our communities. And with change, whether we characterize it as good or bad, comes an experience of stress on some level or another. Even good change brings its level of stress. And why is that? It's because we're facing the unfamiliar. When we face change, we're facing the unfamiliar. And there is a part of us, certainly, that wants to be able to predict the direction of life, predict the outcomes. There's a certain illusion of safety that we have in imagining that we actually can predict the future. The truth is that we can't. We have maybe probabilities of how things may play out or how things may arise, but we truly cannot predict with certainty what the future is going to be. And so, in times of change, our metrics get skewed pretty radically, and we don't really have the tools to be able to discern the direction necessarily of change. And so, we, in our quest for certainty, project forward our predictions, whether they're dire or delightful. We make our predictions and then we live into those predictions because they give us the illusion of safety, predictability, um, some level of false certainty. And it's interesting because that's how we pretty much operate in life. We operate in life as if things are going to continue the way they've been. And we are in an unprecedented time, and there's no way that things are going to ever go back to normal. And we don't really want them to. The way that things were prior to COVID is it was completely unsustainable for us as a species on this planet, and we get to embrace this change that we're facing and to allow it to be an evolutionary step toward our positive expression as human beings on this planet. And so the question arises, how do we embrace change? How do we go about embracing change and minimizing the stress that we experience even in the face of positive change? And there are certain practices that we've spoken about a bunch of times in previous conversations with you. And one is using your breath. So when you allow, first of all, allow yourself to be aware of your experience of stress, because a lot of times we sublimate that stress to such a degree that it shows up in our behaviors. Maybe it shows up in excessive eating or drinking or indulging in substances or shopping or sometimes even cleaning or immersing ourselves in work or binge watching TV or any number of playing video games endlessly. There are any number of ways that we can manifest stress, and all of those behaviors can be used to numb ourselves to the experience of stress. So when we allow ourselves to recognize the stress, then we have the ability to interact with it and to alleviate it. And certainly one of the ways that we can alleviate the stress is by using our breath. In the moment of experiencing the stress, recognize where it is in your body, experience it in that place, breathe deeply and slowly into that place in your body where you're experiencing that stress, and allow yourself to just release that tension or release the resistance to the stress, because that perpetuates it. And in fact, that's where the stress comes from in relation to change, in that we are actually resisting the change. We're wanting things to continue. We have a certain momentum to be going in whatever direction we're going. And when change arises, it disrupts our momentum and it requires us to adjust. And in that adjustment, there's often the resistance of our momentum against the new direction. So breath is a really, really powerful tool in the face of the stress and releasing stress that may be related to change. Another thing that we can do is tapping, and you can find out about tapping online, and I've actually done a previous broadcast talking about tapping, but it's an amazing self-care technique to deal with stress. And let's see, there are a number of other ways that we can deal with our stress. But frankly, I think these few are the most powerful. So experiencing where the stress is in your body, breathe into it, allow it to move, use tapping. And also you can notice what is going on inside your head that is perpetuating the stress. We create a lot of our emotional states through self-talk. And as we are able to moderate that self-talk and amend it or edit it or rewrite it, we are able to shift our experience. But let's go back to this idea of change and what it would look like to embrace change. If we can shift our notion of change as threatening, and embrace what might feel like anxiety as instead something that we could entertain as excitement, then perhaps that in and of itself can shift our experience of change, excitement and anticipation. Because if we look into our actual experience, there's not a huge difference between excitement and anxiety. You might have a racing of your heart. You might have some kind of tension in your muscles. And you might even have a set to your jaw when you're excited or when you're anxious. And the difference can be brought about, the shift from anxiety to excitement can be brought about by an awareness that perhaps this feeling that you're naming anxiety, if you called it excitement, what would shift for you? So actually another really powerful technique to be modulating or moderating or interfacing with stress from change or from other sources is to start asking yourself good questions. And good questions are not things like, what am I stressed about? Because then you'll find all kinds of things to be stressed about. A good question might be, is this feeling excitement? What could I be excited about? Is this feeling uh, enthusiasm for something? What am I excited about in noticing what's going on in the world? What am I excited about in what's going on with me? What kinds of possibilities are now opening in my experience? What kinds of new opportunities are opening in this moment? And these kinds of questions help to refocus your mind toward the positive aspects of change. And I know that we already said that even positive change, it can be stressful, and that stress has its origins in resistance. So the idea here is to ride the horse in the direction it's going. In other words, things are happening, um, and we want to be able to interact with the world and the occurrences and the circumstances from using them to move into a new place. Even a negative circumstance, when we stop resisting that negative circumstance, we have the ability to shift our thinking about what is actually occurring. And as we shift our thinking about it, rather than saying, oh, this is terrible, oh, this is horrible, the world's coming to an end, I don't, I'm afraid of this, I don't know about that, rather than those kinds of um, conversations and momentum, we can use the energy of the moment to deflect it or redirect it into a positive direction. When we're thinking about possibility, the feeling rather than fear is one of anticipation and enthusiasm and excitement, and that positive momentum can allow us to breathe into that as well, and to make room within ourselves to expand, to include these possibilities, to embrace the possibilities, and to find a place of trust. And that is really the key to navigating change and to navigating the stress that could arise in the face of change. As we allow ourselves to connect with a trust for life. And one of the richest ways that I've found is to connect with the idea that rather than life happening to me, it's happening for me and through me. So if we can imagine the possibility that we created this circumstance for ourselves to grow and expand and to be enriched in our our fullness of expression, then even the toughest circumstances we can look at with an eye to opportunity. And it also allows us, if we can connect to that notion that life is happening for me and through me, then that can help to generate and grow an inward trust in the world and in the evolution of events that are occurring. And what it does is it takes off the pressure for us to try to fix things or for us to believe that things even need fixing. What we can do is look at what's the next action, what's the next thing that I am called into doing, and what is the next step, one step and then another and then another. The thing that makes stress and change so challenging is projecting out into the far future, trying to imagine what direction things are taking when we can't possibly do that. And so I know so many people who have played with worst case scenario over and over and over again so that they feel that they are prepared for the future. They're hoping for the best but preparing for the worst. And my vantage point on that is not to be unaware of the possibilities that could occur, but rather than focusing on worst case scenario, because I don't really truly believe that emboldens us in life. I believe that it's perhaps valuable to entertain a multitude of scenarios without fixating on any particular one, but we want to be cultivating the trust within us. And I agree, Dido, that this notion of life is happening for me and through me is life-altering perspective, because innately, as we align to that trust makes us shift our questions. So in what way is this serving me? In what way can I evolve in this circumstance? In what way can I expand my awareness? In what way can I deepen my connection to life in this moment? So, yeah, change. We're facing lots of it, and we're going to be facing lots more. And it is possible to initiate action for positive change, because many of us are seeking positive change in the world. We can initiate that action for positive change from a place of allowing everything in this moment to be perfect. And I know that sounds like a contradiction, and it's a shift of beingness. It's like saying life is happening for me and through me. In other words, the challenges of this moment or the gifts of this moment are exactly as they should be. And it may be that the challenges and the gifts of this moment inspire me to take the next action and the next action and the next action. And that's where it becomes so deeply important to find our way to presence, to find our way beyond resistance, to being present to the moment, to connecting with our deepest intuition that is beyond our fear, beyond our stress, that deepest intuition that calls to us to say, here's your next step. Here's where you can take action, and here's where you can make a shift. Here's where possibility is. And I can say that as I have embraced this notion of life happening for me and through me, I have also allowed myself a deepening experience of my intuition and my internal guidance. And when I listen, and oftentimes it's a faint impulse, when I listen, I find that life reveals its magic to me. And I am quite sure that as you cultivate your listening and your awareness and your experience of your own intuition and guidance, then the process of change will become an unfolding adventure and a joy. And when we have the stress related to change or when we resist change, it's because we are holding tightly to an idea of how things are and how things should be, or how we should be, or how we the illusion that we are in control. And when we, and it's so, again, another really big paradox, as we relinquish control or our idea of control, we actually have the ability to be more present and more responsive. So we get to play with these paradoxes. We're going to have lots of change that we're faced with. We get to learn how to receive it and dance with it rather than in opposition to it. And with that, I think I'll wrap up for the day. I am so grateful to have you here. Thank you so, so much for joining me. And I'm here every weekday morning at 9 a.m. unless there's a technical glitch. And we're here on Enlightened World Network. And there is phenomenal programming on Enlightened World Network. I invite you to check it out. And there is such a richness here available for soul and spirit and heart and mind. So enjoy, and thanks again for being with me, and I hope to see you again here soon. Lots of love, great compassion.